Welcome to the Power of Design podcast. My name is Jack Osa. I'm an architect, born and raised in Colombia, South America. Years ago, I migrated to the United States to follow my dreams. And today, I'm the founder and principal of Osa Studio, a multidisciplinary architectural design firm in Charlotte, North Carolina. In this podcast, we talk about design, business, creativity, and the inspiration we need to create an exciting and powerful built environment. In this episode of The Power of Design, I had a great conversation with Hunter Fleshood. Hunter is a strategic thinker and leader with a unique background that includes technology, sales, and commercial real estate. Hunter is the head of sales for Comfy, a revolutionary tech company that is changing the way we understand and use workspaces through cutting-edge technology and innovation. This is my conversation with Hunter. Hunter, welcome to the Power of Design podcast. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Jack. I hope you are. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Sure. Hunter, throughout your career, you have been helping companies in the corporate, real estate, and construction industries achieve better outcomes. What do you think is the most important skill of a successful professional today?
For me and anyone that's helping clients, that has clients, I think the most important skill is listening and then clarifying. Because unless you understand who you're trying to help, who you're trying to work with, I don't think you're going to be successful at helping them.
Sure. Why do you think it's so hard to listen?
Well, I'm a preparer.
Yeah.
You are too. And I think when we prepare for an interaction, we know what we're going to say.
Yeah.
But we don't know what our counterpart is going to say. And so I try to put my agenda and talking points aside.
Right.
And not think about what I'm going to say next.
Right.
But to really listen and hone in and ask them to elaborate if I don't understand.
Yeah, man, that's so important. Not even in business, but in any communication you have with other humans. And I'm guilty of this all the time, that the person is talking and I'm already formulating my answer or my opinion, and that's not good. For communication, that doesn't help.
And you're right. In the business world, it's important. Maybe it's more important in personal relationships.
Sure.
To try to avoid misaligned expectations or miscommunication that happens with me and my daughters all the time. And
right.
So you're right. Communicating clearly and understanding clearly.
Yeah,
Very
and I
important.
think the whole point is to really understand the person first and make them feel understood. I think that's step one. And a good tip to do that is, they call it a reflective listening or mirroring, where you just say back what you just heard. Even if you use the same words, that's really helping the person feel understood.
Absolutely. My stepmother is a counselor, family counselor, and that's part of her counseling technique that I learned from her, mirroring.
Yeah.
And I couldn't agree more. To feel heard is very validating. I think it's a human need.
Oh, sure.
To feel heard and understood, and that's a great way to build rapport and trust with people. So I've heard about mirroring before. I've tried to use the technique.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to get someone to say more and go a little deeper.
Yeah. Even it goes beyond just words, mirroring, how the person is positioned, how they're using their body language, because you're trying to make them feel like, okay, we're on the same page, we're on the same team.
Yeah.
So you let your guard down and you feel more comfortable with that person.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I like that.
Hunter, tell me about yourself. Where did you grow up?
Yeah, so I'm a North Carolina guy. I grew up in Raleigh and went to school in Chapel Hill, and then came to Charlotte. And Charlotte feels more like home than anywhere else.
Sure.
I've moved away to New York City for a while, to San Francisco for a while for different job opportunities.
Yeah.
Loved that experience, but I can't think of a better place to be than North Carolina, than Charlotte, for lots of reasons.
Yeah.
And people keep moving here, so there must be something to it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it's a great spot.
I have been here about 20 years now. And every time I go visit somebody, whether it's business or personal, to other cities, New York or West Coast, Florida, I have fun the next 3-4 days. But then after that, I'm like, oh my God, I want to go back to Charlotte.
Yeah, it's a great blend. It's big enough, keeps growing. The economy couldn't be stronger.
Yeah.
But you can still find a community, a tight-knit community. Charlotte as a whole, but even within, you can still get that sense of community, camaraderie, neighboring that I grew up with.
Sure.
And that I think a lot of people like about the South in general.
Yeah.
And North Carolina.
So you're growing up, you're in high school, and tell me about those years when you start deciding, oh man, what should I do with my life? What should I go to school for? What were you thinking about those days?
Wow, that takes me back a little bit, and I envy the stories about people who knew what they wanted to do from the time they matured into an adult, and they were singularly focused on that. That's not me.
Yeah.
In younger years, I probably just measured myself against who I thought my peer group was and tried to achieve and at least stay on par in terms of school and leadership and activities. I was a business major in college, which I think opened the door for you can do a lot of different things. I was still thinking in general, I'm not sure exactly what I want to do. And then even my first job was in consulting. Anderson Consulting, which became Accenture, and what it offered was you get to work on short engagements, variety of industries for a variety of companies. Technology is kind of the central focus, but business in general and business process. So I kept with that theme of I'm not really sure what I want to do, but I love to just be exposed to a lot, and maybe one day I'll figure it out.
Sure. So what kind of task did you have to do in those engagements?
So I'll date myself a little bit, but when I was in college, not everyone had a computer. So the only time I used a computer was to write papers and do a couple of rudimentary things. And I never imagined that the first thing I would do at Anderson Consulting was program computer language.
Wow.
So I programmed COBOL, and it was learn it as you go. And I think learning computer language and logic and rules really helped define the way I think about things.
Nice.
That logic, I think, still stays with me, but I never imagined I would be coding COBOL syntax. Wow. But that's just a way that company at the time started their junior people, is think about what technology can do and how that applies to business processes, and then you sort of migrate up into higher level process and solving business problems. Ultimately, we were on engagements to help a company solve a business problem or take advantage of an opportunity.
Yeah.
And usually that involved some big technology implementation.
Wow, that's interesting. I'm always very fascinated by consulting, consultants in general, that you just go with the magic touch. It's like very small engagement, but you know exactly what to do. And, if you're good, they pay you a lot of money.
I've since worked with consulting companies as a buyer, and I don't know that they have a varied perception and reputation.
Yeah.
Right. I'm happy to say I was in the consulting service line that delivered real projects, delivered real things.
Yeah.
I think we've all worked with consultants that have good ideas.
Sure.
And they leave you with, take the idea and go with it. But for me, it was, again, exploring what do I want to do.
Yeah.
I've always loved solving problems and helping others, and consulting served me well for 9 years.
Wow.
9 years. And I was doing most of my projects for financial services clients, Wells Fargo and their predecessors, First Union, Wachovia, Bank of America and their predecessor, Nations Bank. So I got to know the banking industry very well, all parts of it: retail, wealth management, investment banking, commercial, and how they ran their operations. But I got tired of short engagements and technology consulting. What I was doing for 9 years, I just was ready for a change. And through just networking and talking to people about what they did and what else might be out there, I learned about corporate real estate. And it was an HR exec that supported the Bank of America corporate real estate team at the time that told me, we have a lot of people in corporate real estate that have been forever a broker or their whole career in facilities management or construction. But one of the biggest gaps we have is those people that can translate business process, banking strategy, high-level financial needs into what the real estate actions need to look like. What does that mean for expansion or contraction? What type of space to build and where? What type of risk profile should be applied in different strategies? And so, okay, it felt like consulting. I'll go see what the business units in the Bank of America want and need, and how they run their business, and what that means for their physical real estate footprint. So that's how I got into corporate real estate.
Wow, interesting. So once you get into that world, were you surprised, or what do you think about that? Was it what you expected?
That was very much a learning opportunity. I was in corporate real estate at Bank of America for 9 years, and for the first 2 was learning. First, how much real estate cost, how big of an expense it is to a major corporation. I had an opportunity. That's when I moved to New York. Is in Bank of America. At the time, they were building the first platinum tower, lead platinum tower, right in Manhattan. And that's an example of things I got to do that I was just awe-inspired by.
Wow.
And I think a corporation like that, with the resources they have, you get exposure to, if you like real estate, a lot of great development, construction projects, leases, just phenomenal environments and space. And I loved every minute of it.
Oh, sure. Just the scale of the projects is something that is not common.
Yeah. I mean, you've worked on projects of all sizes and scale, and the trophy ones that are, have awards and stories written about them. They're fun to be a part of. And I was fortunate to be a part of some. But I also really like learning the nuts and bolts of real estate. And then the way corporate real estate is different than just commercial is, how does it enable that company to deliver their core business better?
Right.
And it's got a human element.
Sure.
Right. And we're seeing that now as workplace has been upended and changed, and who knows what it will look like in the future.
Yeah, that's amazing, because, all those decisions impact somebody else's experience of their work environment every day for 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, probably for 40 years. And when I started working on workplace projects is when I started realizing how critical and important is this, because most modern human adults that they work in an office, and most of their life is spent inside an office. So you could impact many millions of lives by all those decisions. How's that person feeling? And the space is one aspect of it. There is, of course, culture and many things that are more about each company, but the space, it's something everybody needs. And sometimes we don't realize how important those decisions are. And they're not only from the design side, the construction, the real estate, the space allocation, the square footages, they're all impacting somebody else's experience of most of their lives.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Countless stories I'm recalling that, to emphasize your point, the place someone works, they have an emotional attachment to,
Yeah.
and a real critical dependency upon.
Yeah.
And for any of the listeners that have worked in corporate real estate, supporting a portfolio in operations, know that people can get really upset when something's not right.
Yeah.
With their parking space, with their security badge, with their with the air quality, with the comfort of the seat, with the lighting, and sometimes those things feel like a nuisance at scale when you're removed from it. But if you are empathetic and understand what you were saying, this person is here every day, sitting in this place, trying to do work.
Yeah.
Let's make them comfortable and see if we can make it more ideal.
Yes, just the basic thing of have a really good ergonomic chair. There is no reason to have an uncomfortable chair today.
Right.
You're sitting most of the day. You should have a nice chair.
Yeah.
And you know how many people, they go with the cheapest chair to save money? That's a bad decision. If you don't have money, invest in good chairs.
Yeah.
That would be my advice.
Like the boss from the Christmas Vacation movie that decided it was a good decision to eliminate the Christmas bonus. No, it's not a good decision.
No, it's not.
Don't go cheap on the chair.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about how you face, the projects and advancing to a new industry and keep moving forward, because, not a lot of people feel comfortable, just switching lanes and, okay, I'm going to leave all this experience that I've been building on and I'm going to switch to a new industry. What do you think makes you feel comfortable making those changes?
That's a great question. And, I shared two big portions of my career, 9 years in IT consulting, 9 years at Bank of America. And I did some more corporate real estate roles for other banks. But then I went into some lane shifting, like you said, and I had a lot of expertise and background in technology, a lot of expertise and background in corporate real estate, and I got the entrepreneurial itch to work for a smaller company and do something that allowed me to help corporate real estate organizations, primarily driven with technology solutions.
Yeah.
And the convergence of technology and the built environment, which continues to be so important now, it just seemed like that's the right place for me to focus based on my experience.
Yeah.
I can relate to issues and problems that I think my clients might be facing, and I can offer solutions. And I draw upon technology experience, consulting experience, listening skills.
Yeah.
Having sat in similar roles as my clients now, and it's just a sincere way that I can contribute, and I enjoy doing it. So I have worked in some smaller companies doing smart building technology. Presently, I'm leading sales for workplace technology, which has really gotten in more demand and under the microscope with what's happened in the last year and a half.
Sure.
But I love doing it, and I just got comfortable with there's ways I can impact more companies in this type of environment where I'm bringing solutions to them and in a sales capacity.
So in your role today, what's your typical day? Like, what are your responsibilities? How's your impact measure?
Yeah, so I lead a sales team for Comfy. It's my company. We sell to large enterprise companies and their corporate real estate team. So I have a team all over the country in different time zones selling across North America. A lot of my day and week is spent one-on-one with them, coaching, preparing, strategizing. I'm a people manager, and I've managed a sales team, so I'm spending a lot of time in Salesforce and looking at metrics and progress and deal volume and deal flow, and trying to figure out where are we getting stuck in the sales cycle, where are we losing opportunities that we could win, why aren't we getting more? So doing a lot of data analytics, studying our process, studying what's going on. But what I love about my job the most, I tell my team, bring me into your pitch calls, your client calls, your conversations, because I want to hear what these corporate real estate executives are saying, what their teams are struggling with, and draw upon some of my experience to ask questions, probe more deeply, and relate to what they're going through and see if we can help them.
Yeah. When you're working with a team of sales, your sales team, different people, different personalities, experiences, do you think everyone has the same capacity or potential to be a great salesperson? Or how do you kind of measure and say, okay, this person is not generating as many results as this person, but I know they're doing their best, so I'm okay with that? Or how do you manage that?
That's a good question. I don't know if I've really figured out how to profile what personality attributes are necessarily going to translate into a great salesperson, because I think people across the scale of personality type can be great salespeople. I wasn't born to be a salesperson. I sort of resisted that I ever would be. And for me, it comes down to sharing expertise and background to solve problems. There are others that all they want to do is prospect and hunt and close deals, and they are driven by the deal. I've got people on my team that have taken all the sales training, know all the techniques, and sometimes I feel like they're using them on me.
Yeah, effectively.
And it's almost more like psychology, sociology that they practice. Others I find very subdued, analytical, thoughtful, take logical, process-driven approach. And so a lot of people, when they think of salesperson, might think of big personality and charisma and very convincing and influencing. Some of my best sellers don't light up the room and don't command attention. In fact, they probably are uncomfortable and they deflect it. But I'll go back to saying I think they listen, understand, and figure out how to help.
Yeah. And, we all heard where people say people buy from people they know, like, and trust. So as long as you achieve those three, you can do it in many ways. It doesn't have to be loud or convincing or extrovert or the stereotype of a salesperson that we have because of culture, movies, or any other influence we have. And I definitely had that vision on that salespeople were like, the car salesman that I'm gonna make you buy this even if you can't pay for it. But in the last maybe 5-6 years, I've been getting very passionate about sales. And that includes branding, marketing, business development, sales. What are all the parts of making that happen? How do you break down the whole process of getting someone to buy your product or service, and why? And specifically, I focus a lot on branding because that's the step one. That's the front end, is the appearance. If your branding is not right, you're gonna make it very difficult for somebody else down the line to go ahead and help the person move to another stage of the sales process. And that's one of the things that larger companies, or in smaller companies, more sophisticated owners, they understand the value of branding, and they invest money, time, and energy to do that because they're just facilitating the conversation. And there are many other businesses that they don't get that. And they're missing millions of dollars in sales because they misunderstand the impact of a good brand.
Well, I've enjoyed seeing your success and the success of your company. And I can tell you do have a very strong brand.
Thanks.
And it's multimedia, multi-channel. And coming to know you over the last few years, also know that you take great pride.
Sure.
And your name is on the sign.
Yeah.
And that shows. And it shows that you put a lot of thought.
Thank you. One of the decisions I made about 3 years ago was to, we all have a brand as people. We all have our personal brand. So I thought about, should I focus my efforts on building my business brand or my personal brand, or both? Which, if you're doing both, then you're kind of duplicating the efforts. And took me 2 or 3 months to, understand, research, learn, see what others are doing, to really focus on, I'm going to build my personal brand. That was my decision. And my business brand is attached to my personal brand. But I think having a strong personal brand gives you a lot of freedom, because you can take the people that they know you, like you, and trust you. You can take them to different business ventures, or where you look, where you appear, you're immediately related with that following. And I would think that personal branding is going to be the next big thing inside corporations, because people are usually very defined by the brand they work under. So if you work under a big brand, then you're very proud to say, I work for this brand, and you feel good, and they're gigantic in the world. But within that brand, you can have your own brand, and you can grow your brand and even separate yourself from that business brand in the marketplace. So whenever you go, you bring that brand awareness. So I really think that a focus on personal branding is going to be huge in the next 5-10 years, especially now that you can do podcasting for very cheap. You don't have to pay anything to build a digital brand. All those tools are free and available to anyone.
I think that's, what you're saying resonates with me, and I encourage my team to establish their social media brand and their social media presence.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean just share out everything that our company produces in terms of content. In fact, you're probably going to have greater reach and impact if you show your network a little bit more about you.
Yeah.
And why you. And I think it's great rapport building. And you're right, buyers, sure they want a good product from a good company, but they buy from people.
Oh, yeah. And they buy the product because of what the product is doing for them.
Right.
The product itself is irrelevant. It's what is this allowing me to do for my business? And I think that's one of the things that if you put it in very simple terms, if you understand your client's needs and you develop an avatar of who that client is, and you develop a strategy that say, how do I leverage digital marketing that is available for free to add value to that person? Let me add value to them. What do they care about? What are their problems? What are their pinpoints? What are they, concerned about? And you can ask them because they're your clients, and then develop content for them to add value. Once you add that amount of value, when they need to buy something, guess where they're going to go? Guess who they trust? That's the power of all these tools we have in our hands right now. The thing is that sometimes people see it as a very transactional engagement. So how do I sell through Instagram? You're not selling. You're just using that to exponentially add value to your target customer. He's not going to buy directly for that. This podcast that I'm doing is all brand awareness. I'm not expecting to sell anything. I don't want to sell anything. All I'm doing is adding value to the construction, real estate community or architectural community that are listening to this, so they can learn something and take some valuable information to put it in their lives.
Yeah, I love that, Jack. And two concepts that are real impactful for me that I've read about in the last few years. One is from a book called The Go-Giver. We know the go-getter. Mm-hmm. This is the go-giver.
Yeah.
And it's being very purposeful and intentional about what you were saying. Bring value to people.
Yeah.
Provide something that it will help them personally or professionally. And if you're able to do that without expected reciprocation, it can be so much more powerful. You're smart enough to know that by helping others, it's human nature for people to want to reciprocate.
Sure.
But if you just live with, I'm just going to give and help, yeah, maybe things will come back to me in return over time. But in the moment, it's not a transaction.
No.
You're right. You're investing in people. You're building trust for yourself at the same time. And it comes back exponentially. So it's, I've had all my team read The Go-Giver. And when I see them practicing that mentality of giving to others and helping your network, I'll highlight that was a Go-Giver moment.
Nice.
And if you do that and you put the ask underneath it, it invalidates it.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you can do that.
And then the other concept I read about was reciprocity and the power of persuasion. It's a book, and even though you don't expect it, you're going to hit on a social norm and human nature that people are kind of live by.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
The Power of Design podcast is brought to you by OSA Studio, a multidisciplinary design firm focused on creating impactful experiences through the power of design. We partner with our clients to create buildings, interior spaces, brands, and strategies that help you deliver a successful project. As a minority-owned firm, we are committed to building a diverse platform of curious and driven design professionals so we can together pursue our full potential. For more information, please visit us at www.osastudio.com.
Tell me about your involvement in the commercial real estate community and what kind of organizations you're part of, and what kind of things do you do yourself to keep growing, expanding your network, and adding value.
Sure. I'm very active outside of my job to connect with the industry and professional organizations. That's been a large part of my growth and development plan and a huge part of my network building. And, we talk about personal brand. There's a lot of people in this community that know me as, you want to know something about Cornet.
Yeah.
Talk to Hunter. Hunter is a great person to talk to about Cornet and why to get involved and how it's helped people. And that's a part of my brand that I'm very proud of.
Nice.
I got involved in Cornet 15 years ago. It's a corporate real estate industry group that's worldwide. There's a chapter in the Carolinas. And the more I interacted with the people, the more I learned about the content. It really helped me professionally, both in my knowledge base, learning from peers, understanding trends, getting a pulse on the market. But the network was built over time through committee service, board service, seeing people at networking events has served me so well in terms of where my career has gone.
Yeah.
Business opportunities, and a sense of identity and belonging. So that's when I would highlight. You and I met through Cornet at a Carolinas event and got to know each other that way. A lot of your guests on this podcast are involved there.
Right.
I've been involved to some extent in other groups, U.S. Green Building Council, ULI, BOMA, IFMA, or some others, NAOP. But most of my career is focused on corporate real estate, and Cornet Global is really that focus area. What I've found about myself is when I get involved with a group, I have a hard time being a passive member.
Yeah.
And so I love to take on a challenge to serve the industry, and served as president of the chapter and a few other things. And I'm serving in a capacity now of trying to extend Cornet's impact across the Carolinas beyond Charlotte and Raleigh. And I'll say a little bit more about that as it may be something of interest to your listeners. But our chapter serves the Carolinas. Most of our members and activity and programs has always been in Charlotte or Raleigh. And I'm working to provide the same activity, community, programming in South Carolina, in markets like Greenville and Charleston and Columbia. And the most recent focus is on the Triad, the Greensboro, High Point, Winston-Salem area.
Yeah.
And I'm learning, I'm meeting new people.
Oh, sure.
Getting them excited,
Yeah.
I'm more of a cheerleader than anything else, but I'm finding like-minded people, getting them together, talking about how we can help each other professionally and personally, and it just sort of takes off from there. So that's been very rewarding.
Man, that's amazing. I joined Cornet about maybe 6 or 8 months ago. When COVID happens, and I started my business 4 years ago, and it's been a small business, slowly growing, progressing. COVID happened. I had never been member of any networking membership group, and mainly because of time, because I've been a seller, do it. So I go sell and then go do, and then there's this event, and I have 3 children, and I don't want to be 2 nights a week, drinking out here. I want to do it, but I
Right.
can't. It's a lot. So as part of what I started thinking about is, well, I need to commit to something in the community. I can't just expect doing things here and that the community is going to know who I am and how do I work. And I look at many different organizations, and Cornet was the one. I said, okay, I think this is the one. And selfishly, one point of view was, well, large organizations and users are part of this, which to me is one of the next steps for my business, to have clients that are larger clients, to have continuous business. So I said, okay, let's do that. So even joining at this time that there are not a lot of meetings, not a lot of in-person meetings, it's been amazing. Every person I met, super nice, excited. They want to help each other. I've been, as I meet people, I'm inviting them to the podcast, generating good relationships. I join a committee, and it's been really fun, man. I really enjoyed it. And I know that what I'm experiencing is all the work you guys have been doing for 15 years. This doesn't happen just right away. So you guys are doing a great job. And I think that means if we have this as a base right now, man, that's going to be amazing.
It is a great community, great people, like-minded. Most people sincerely want to help each other. It's been a crappy year and a half.
Yeah.
And we're all missing being together. But that's when you need that group of people you can call upon.
Sure. Yeah.
And just check in with them, or have them check in with you, and stay connected. I think I'm feeling very isolated.
Yeah.
And at times just disconnected from what's going on. And a virtual program or an email thread from a few people in your community does a lot to help you feel connected again.
Oh yeah,
and I can't wait till we can connect more in person.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll happen soon.
Yeah, I was disappointed the mega event got rescheduled.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I understand, man.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. It's a tightrope.
Yeah. Going back to what you do, I know you're all involved in real estate and technology. Tell me about the service you guys sell, the product. How is that helping people? What do you think the future of that technology is?
Sure. It's a new sector, a new segment, I'll say. Corporate real estate has always used technology to run their business, whether it's a lease administration system or space management system, accounting, transactions, the core functions. And so corporate real estate's used to buying software. What we sell is a first generation purchase for most companies. It's called Workplace Experience Technology or Workplace Experience App. And while corporate real estate buys Comfy and buys our competitor software, it's used by the employees. And the idea is that they can use their smart device to go about their day in the office the same way we do outside the office. Find information, book reservations, make transactions, access services. And in the workplace, that looks like find and reserve an office that meets your needs for the meeting you're going to have, or a desk if you're coming into the office for the day. Access building infrastructure, like change the temperature, change the lighting, call an elevator while you're walking through the lobby.
Yeah.
Use your app to open the secure door. log a work request, see where the nearest printer is, see what's on the cafe menu for the day. So those are the types of ways an employee base would use Comfy. And Comfy also interacts with all kinds of other technology, including sensors, occupancy sensors. A lot of corporate real estate teams have used them. A lot more are interested in using them. And with everything the employees are doing using Comfy, plus the sensor data we capture, creates a huge amount of data.
Yeah.
The value we provide to the corporate real estate team is dashboard, reports, trending to make sense of that data.
Wow, that's amazing.
And the way this pandemic has really changed the demand for a product like ours is because things are so uncertain and so unpredictable. How many desks and rooms and of different sizes do we need? Will it change our design standard? How much space do we need overall if people aren't coming to the office every day? And there's a lot of big decisions that could be made with imperfect information because it is so unpredictable and uncertain.
Yeah.
And we're finding a lot of interest in our product to start using data to understand employee patterns and preferences and behavior, basic utilization statistics.
Sure.
How much, when, what type of space is used most and least. And that will inform, using data to affirm your decision, how much space you need, where, and what does it need to look like.
Yeah, that's amazing because the technology is already there. Like the technology to make that happen is there. It's just that integration into the built environment that hasn't happened. And that I would think that the same thing is happening like in the medical field, in technology integration with our body, where we can have, a chip that is measuring, our blood levels. We're realizing what's happening very early on. We can prevent diseases. And I'm excited about that future. I'm a futurist. I love technology.
Oh, yeah,
I give my kids iPad early on, use technology because there is no way around that. There is exponential technology integration that we cannot stop it.
Right.
So we better learn how to use it responsibly and leverage it to have a good life. So I really think that there is no way around that's going to be the full integration of, technology with buildings, technology with bodies, because it goes back to what we were talking at the beginning, is the experience of that person, most of their life in there. Now let's add technology to make that experience even richer.
Yeah. Yeah. The technology has been there. You're right. Sometimes it takes a transformative event to elevate the demand for it. Our team was meeting with a large bank this week, and they were sharing with me some of the challenges and issues they're having. And it sounded like challenges and issues I had 15 years ago. So the challenges and issues haven't necessarily changed, but technology can really advance your ability to handle and deal with and work through them. And it was the age-old corporate real estate challenge of we don't know how our space is being utilized and how we should design it and what the employees really like and don't like and how much do we need. All those things.
Yeah.
That 15 years ago, it was surveys, walk around with clipboards and do observations.
Yeah.
Get feedback, observe, and technology enables you to do that in a way that's much more certain and continuous. And so I like that the uncertainty that has been presented with what does return to work really mean or look like has caused people to think about different ways to sort through a problem.
Right.
And technology is a part of that.
Yeah. I always say that people don't buy products or services. They buy experiences. They buy how they feel about themselves when they're interacting with those products or services. So if we think about that, what do you think you're really selling that is not technology implementation in the workplace?
Oh, wow. So I described the benefits to the employee base, the benefits to corporate real estate, and the benefits to the employee base. Enabling. We have a technology that enables an employee to do things faster, simpler, and without friction. We use that term
Yes.
often. It
Yeah.
shouldn't be so hard
Sure.
to find a place to work.
Yeah, you're making
And
it easy.
and to decide
Yeah.
when to come in. Employees have enough challenges and nuisances to worry about.
Right.
You know, I think we help them do their job when and where and with whom and how they need to
Right.
better.
Yeah.
And so I think for the employee, it's simplifying their life and enabling them to do the best work they can,
Yeah.
taking the distractions and annoyances away from it.
And for the
For corporate real
For
estate,
corporate-
I would go back to certainty.
because the corporate is the one who's paying for it.
They're paying for it. And again, I draw upon some of my own experience making decisions as a corporate real estate portfolio executive on how much real estate do we need and where should it be and what should it look like.
Yeah.
And those are expensive decisions. A 10-year lease is in a new building is an expensive decision. Not taking advantage of an opportunity to contract a leasehold is an expensive decision if you make the wrong one.
Yeah.
Pouring capital into a workplace design, uncertain if that's really what your employees want,
Yeah.
is an expensive decision. And it used to cause me a lot of personal stress because I cared. And
Sure.
I wanted the decisions to be right. And I think what we're selling to the corporate real estate teams are data to affirm decisions, to increase certainty, and to validate that you are making a good decision.
Yeah.
And it lowers their risk levels. And by being more certain, I think they hopefully reduces stress for them.
Yeah.
We've got information that says this is the right thing to do.
Sure. Yeah, and I think when you position your sales approach in those terms, it's a lot easier. Saying, I'm selling you peace of mind. I'm selling you certainty. I'm selling you an easier workplace experience, a frictionless experience. All the technology explanation becomes irrelevant. How you do it doesn't matter because we all want that. We all want things to be simple, easy, enjoyable. Going back to the very beginning when we talk about feeling understood, thinking about the other person is the same. Sometimes we complicate too much things in details, and the how it's irrelevant. What matters is the result.
I like the way you drew that out. I got to remember that.
We're that's
gonna
the
help
magic
you.
of podcasting, man.
We're selling. Let me provide you with more certainty, so you have peace of mind.
Yeah.
I
So
love
if
that.
you want
Maria, I love
consulting
that.
services, I'll sell you that.
Yeah, I love it.
Like
You
it.
got a
We're
talent for
going
that,
full
Jack.
circle. What would you say is the biggest challenge your clients are facing today?
We kind of touched on it. I had it here in my notes. Uncertainty.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I need to go deeper into that, but in corporate real estate and workplace, it's so hard to predict right now. We see dates being moved back. We see corporations flip-flopping decisions. I want everybody in the office. Well, let me rethink that. Or two different ends of the spectrum based on culture or what the C-suite desires. No one really knows.
Yeah.
So I think that creates a lot of challenges because you do have to make decisions with less than perfect information. I think for employers and those responsible for providing a great workplace, they're probably having difficulty with the fact that employees now have so much choice and a lot of companies are calling the shots on when, where, and how they want to work.
Right.
And this is a little more tactical than uncertainty in general, but I'd say that challenge that a lot of in our industry are facing is if you want the people back, You want your people to interact sometimes. You want
Yeah.
there to be live action going on in your office. How do you get them back? Because you can't demand it anymore. The days of demanding,
Right.
clock in 9
Yeah.
to 5, clock out, that's not going to work. So I think that's the challenge. What is going to entice people?
Yeah.
Is it free lunch days? Is it better furniture? Is it after-hour events? Is it professional development opportunities? Or just a frictionless experience?
Sure.
What's going to make people get on the train, get in their car, get on their bike, however they commute in, and come spend time with their team?
Yeah, I think something you mentioned a while ago, it's about, this whole situation with COVID is forcing us to think in a different way. So even if we may not have the answers, now we had to start looking at things from a different point of view, other alternatives. And to me, the biggest benefit we're receiving is the complete rethinking of what work is and means for people.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think we come from a baby boomer generation where your identity as person was tied to what you do. And, I do this is my profession. I work 40 years here. I'm going to retire. I'm going to do this. But we are not what we do. We are who we are. And that's why, every time you meet somebody, you're like, okay, what's your name and what do you do? You immediately need to identify yourself with an activity in order to feel good about yourself or have meaning or have a position in front of somebody else.
Yeah.
Like we lost our identity as humans and now we attach it to what we do. And I think that concept is disintegrating because now, it used to be like, yeah, if the boss asks me to do this, I'm going to do it. Not anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Now people go and demand things at interviews and they said, I want to work these hours. I want this type of workplace. I matter. I'm a human.
Right.
And I think that's going to be a big thing. I hope that things keep pushing that way to really transform the whole way humans, produce results to generate value to our community without giving up their identity or their own self because they're working most of their life instead of spending time with the people they love.
I hope so too. Yeah. I like the evolution and acceptance that work is not a place. It's what you do. Ultimately, it's outcomes.
Yeah.
And if you let your employees hit their goals, produce their deliverables,
Yeah.
but take a yoga class at 10 a.m. and work in their pajamas or whatever they want to do, I think that makes people happier. We work too much anyway,
Too
don't
much?
we?
Oh, yeah. It's ridiculous.
We work too much.
But I think we're one of the last generations who were trapped into that. I was listening to, I think it was a podcast with a futurist when they asked him, what's the most important, profession or knowledge you think people should start learning about? And he said, there is no doubt everybody should go to technology and computer science because the future of humanity is building, artificial intelligence robots that they're going to do all the work and humans don't have to work. These robots are going to work and do what needs to be done to keep the world functioning. And all we need to do is have fun and spend time with the people we love forever.
I hope I see that in my lifetime.
And then The Matrix.
Yeah, that's right.
That's when, The Matrix is one of my favorite movies. And one time I saw somebody with a T-shirt that said the Matrix was a documentary.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, man, that's right. We could be in it right now.
Yes. Yes.
Cool. How do you see the design and construction industry evolving into the future? Like, what do you hope to see in the future?
Wow. I think a lot of it's going to be technology driven, shortening the design process, shortening iterations, eliminating rework and mistake through digital twin type of modeling. What I hope to see is buildings built with the occupant and tenant technology in mind,
Yeah.
and ultimately their comfort and satisfaction and wellness in mind. And we're seeing that certainly well certified buildings. A focus on health and safety has been elevated, and personal well-being has been elevated as people have become much more risk averse in terms of disease. So I think that will be an evolution. I hear a lot about are the big cities dying in favor of smaller cities or suburbs? I'm not sure I'm sold on that yet. I think the big cities will always be there and will always attract a lot of people and companies.
Yeah.
Here in Charlotte, I love that we are seeing almost all new office developments have some element of mix of uses, whether that's in the vertical structure, putting hotel or residential development. Primarily more it's what's on the street.
Yeah.
And outdoor space and activated pedestrian environments and retail and amenity environments to create clusters where you can do more activities than work in a single place, get people walking to work and living and working and playing in the same places. That's such a cliche, but we certainly have
that's what we
zone
want.
building down South Tryon and into South End. So I love seeing that. I'm not an architect expert, but I'm an architecture junkie.
Yeah.
Just because I know what I like, and I love seeing new innovative buildings, and I love to see the creativity that we're starting to enjoy in some of the new structures coming up here.
Awesome. Well, Hunter, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you coming here, and I really value and admire what you have done, and I'm excited for what you're about to do with your experience, your knowledge, and the platform you have today.
Jack, I became aware of your podcast probably 25 episodes ago, and I think you do a great service for the industry that serves your business well too. I know that, and I know that the relationships you've made, having conversations like this, I'm enriched by it. So I know if you get to do these so often, it must be enriching, and I'm just proud to be in one of your episodes.
Sure,
Thank
man.
you for having me.
No, thank you.
Enjoy it.
All right. Thank you for listening to the Power of Design podcast. Please remember to subscribe, rate, and review if you like this content. And find us online at thepowerofdesignpodcast.com. I invite you to join my mission to become a better version of yourself through the power of design.